In the world of professional wrestling, when something is over, it means the fans love it. It means whatever you got going on, whoever you're talking about, gets the people going. This is Overs and Unders, a series that talks about the MPL Philippines Season 13 teams on a weekly basis. This, being the one to cover Week 7, also covers the season as a whole. My name is Leo, at your service, and I've been doing this for almost 2 months now, and I thank you for being with me on this journey. Before we get started in this week's video, I'd like to explain to you guys how I came up with my list of overs and unders. Making up this list, I had to look at the objective angle and see how a team performed. How many points they gained at the end of the regular season? Did they end up in the playoffs? How high did they rank into that final standing? And the subjective look. What was the story they were telling? What narrative beat did they follow all throughout the 7 weeks of the regular season? And it's that part that I'd like to explain to you guys a little bit more. If you like the content that we're churning out, make sure to like and subscribe via YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X. Y'all know what's up. Let's get right into it. This being the very last overs and unders, capping off Week 7 and the entire season as a whole, we're going to shake things up, meaning we're starting with number 8, starting with unders, and just to clear things up, I don't discount any of these teams' hard work and efforts. Again, as mentioned earlier, this is a very subjective look at their performance, and a lot of this is my personal opinion. If you have any other takes, go ahead, put it in the comments section, and let me know, how would you rate the 8 teams in Season 13, starting with your own unders. Here's mine. At number 8, it's the Phoenix Army TNC Pro Team. Season 13 for the Phoenix fam has been very, very frustrating. They started off the season on the wrong foot. Literally, I know for a fact that that is not the roster that they wanted to debut with, and the few times that it actually worked out, with Super Yoshi being in the Rome, Nomad in gold, they also had to find a way to switch it up. They also let Goyo play in mid, Hatred some days, and all the other parts of that roster had to figure out how to synchronize and synergize with what TNC was doing. And I felt it, again, season after season after season. For almost 2 years now, maybe more, TNC has yet to hit the mark, not making it into the playoffs. And I feel for them. I feel for every single member of the Phoenix Army. And what I'm feeling mainly is frustration. I want them to succeed. They are such a great underdog story. It's just, there's very little payoff for the setup that they get going halfway through the season. This is exacerbated by the fact that they were the first team eliminated, first team out of playoffs contention in Season 13. And I wish them the best. I hope that they have things figured out in the offseason that they are afforded by early on. And we hope to see them come back stronger in the likes of off-season tournaments that are just as grand, just as impactful as the upcoming Snapdragon Pro Series. TNC Pro Team takes number 8 in this season's unders. Our second unders team, starting from the bottom, is the Barangay, Smart Omega. Now say what you will, it being the new Barangay, them taking out the one shot in their formula, them introducing a lot of new faces, them establishing a lot of foundations. Something tells me it might have been too much to start with, and that left them lost and late throughout the entirety of Season 13. For 7 weeks, they had to think on the fly. For 7 weeks, they had to figure out, how do we get there? And they had to pull out all the stops. They had to grab players from the MDL, and it's not like the MDL is hurting. So that means there's something up with the MPL formula. And it seems like in the twilight of their run in Week 6 and Week 7, they were onto something. They honestly were onto something. And they were one of the most over teams, best believe, in those last 2 weeks. And they just couldn't make it work. They had to pull out the Mamba. They had to grab the likes of Andoryu and Ukir. It was effective, but might not have come in when they needed it to. Now they are afforded a much-needed rest, and I'm hoping that Smart Omega comes back stronger. Maybe they needed a few new residents in the new barangay for them to work out. This makes for a historic season in MPL Philippines history. Smart Omega, for the first time, not making it into the playoffs. Hoping to see them come back stronger, and I hope they tell a better story coming season 14. As for now, we wish them all the best. That's our beat for Smart Omega. Our next under team might actually be controversial. And I don't mean to aggravate all the Raiders, because RSG is our 6th team on the list. They are under, in my book, come to close the regular season. RSGPH has had one hell of a regular season in season 13, and I cannot take that away from them. Output-wise, objectively speaking, they should definitely be over. I think they deserve being in the top 3 spot. I think they do deserve the path of no play-ins. But looking at the other side of the coin, and this is where things get a little muddy. Again, this is subjective. It's my list. Go make your own if you want to object, and you have every right to do so. Things were ran very much by the numbers. As great as it is to see the Kingslayers actually slay kings, defy the odds, and break streaks, that aside, we saw them juggle and struggle with their starting lineup in the first couple of weeks. From then on, they just did great RSG things. They did Raider things. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, from a narrative perspective, and from where I stand, I think there definitely could have been more spice. And again, sometimes spice is what you need. Sometimes you just need to win. You just need points, and you need to get from point A to point B in the most efficient way possible. And RSGPH does that. But that doesn't do it for me. And I wish them the best. I love what they've done. I really like seeing them as get close to RSG Prime, as they won an MPLI championship, as they won an MSC championship, as they made it all the way through podium finishes season after season. What I'm saying now doesn't take away from that. All I'm saying is a lot of their stories, a lot of what they done in season 13 is defined by that fundamental grade. And if that's what they need to succeed, by all means, get that 10 out of 10. Talking about the very last under team in season 13, and boy oh boy, I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this. Talking about heat, that's another wrestling term that I want to introduce to y'all. In the world of professional wrestling, when something has heat, it means there's a lot of negative feedback towards that thing. There's a lot of hate, there's a lot of flack, there's a lot of negative emotions around said person, opinion, group, event, moment. And I'll admit, I think I have been a little too hard on Blacklist International, and I deserve the heat. But I think this gives them the chance to surprise all of us in the playoffs. Blacklist International is our last under team in season 13. A lot of what defined their storyline and their run all throughout season 13 is the struggle. Yes, can confirm throughout weeks 1, 2, 3, a little bit of 4, Sensui showed us one hell of a performance, proved that his retribution is indeed one of the sharpest in the world. We saw Ohib climb out of that very dependent gold laner position and defined himself as one of the greats, deserving of the title and more that he has earned through the years. We've seen Abun Jingjing, Edward, do amazing things. Again, Mr. Consistent. You can never sleep on Edward. And we've seen Yue just be Yue. Again, one of the best technical and space-efficient mid laners that we've seen in the modern age. But see how I don't really put a focus on that roamer role? Their captain, Haji, has struggled to take the reins of his team. We saw Kim Poi step in to very little success. And you have to face the facts. That was one of their main beats in season 13. Haji finding his way into that captain's role once again. Finding the center and the soul of the team and leading them towards the playoffs. It's good. Actually, it's a solid storyline, but they faced a lot of opposition. Almost missed out. If only they did not secure all of these wins, all of these 2-1s, which honestly was very impressive. I guess a major factor in my evaluation and my opinion of Blacklist International's run in Season 13 involves the lack of payoff. The setup for a majority of their Season 13 run was the struggle, right? The recoding, the rebuilding, and the discovery of Haji's leadership once more. That's the main storyline for Blacklist, in my opinion. And there's a lot to pick up from that. Again, it's not that it's not enjoyable, it's just that we're reaching the pinnacle. It's the tick, 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 tick of a roller coaster. And maybe in the playoffs, we'll see the payoff, wherein we get the loop-de-loop, we get the 0 Gs, we get the ooh, we get the air in our hair, we get our again, off of that roller coaster metaphor. And that's fair to say, right? Again, we don't have it yet, we don't see it yet. So where the regular season ended, it did not come full circle just yet. So the story is yet unfinished, and that's where I stand. But on a grander scale, the Blacklist International that we all remember from the Season 12 Grand Finals, from the M5 playoffs, this is a very different team. And I want to give them the chance to improve, but also I gotta be real to my emotions, to my own sentiments. That's why they are the last under team in Season 13. Before moving on to the over teams this time around, we're going to number 4. I'd like to give a shout out to my man's Ray Ash, taking care of all the content on our pages. You know the drill. Give him a follow, give him a holla. And as well, shout outs to Asus Republic of Gamers. The ROG Phone 8, the greatest in the line of the best gaming smartphone in the market, is out. Comes in the ROG Phone 8 and the ROG Phone 8 Pro models. It's got the best camera you'll ever get on a gaming smartphone. Definitely worthy of being a daily driver and a companion to those long and sweaty gaming nights. Moving on, we're talking about over teams. Let's talk about the first one from the bottom up. This team made history, and I cannot be any happier for them. A lot of doubt coming out in the first couple of weeks, especially after they started with a bang and struggled in the following weeks. But as they did that, clawed their way through and found an identity that no one can ever take away from them. They are so comfortable being this team that towards the tail end of Season 13, they were able to switch around and still score some points along the way. I'm talking about Minana Evos. Historically, a team that has never made it into the playoffs, season after season. Now they have found the right mix. And with this squad now making it into the playoffs, they are a legit threat. Minana Evos, who knows which lineup we're going to see starting them off into the play-ins, but I reckon it has to be the Lancy and Spider Miles led squad, which I have to admit is the best Minana Evos in Season 13. They are so ube and roll per roll, lane per lane, from Kirk down to Domeng. Some would argue they're in the running for the best, mechanically speaking, if you're talking about just solo engagements. And that's what makes them so lethal. The fact that their identity all throughout Season 13 was molded through that adversity, was molded through the doubt of all of the fans, means they're here to play. They're here to prove a point that they belong in the playoffs like they've always done. And now the Okbo is behind them, growing day after day. Not that there's anything wrong with the Perk, Siva, and Hayes-led lineup. It's just, I think, for them to perform best in the playoffs, they need to play with their best lineup. And as per the sample size, it's that lineup that works. But there are some doubts. There are some voices in my head saying, we haven't really seen the Lancy and Spider-Man-led squad post-patch, and I think the break will do them great. I think the break will help them find the solution and show us something we haven't really seen before, since this is an ube squad in a post-patch metagame. I think Minana Evos right now is triumphant. I think they are morally the best we've ever seen them. And I mean like morale-wise, not like from I'm right, you're wrong ethics kind of situation, but morale. Team morale is at an all-time high for Minana Evos, and I want to see these young guns prove that they are indeed the dark horses of this season. Minana Evos more power. They make it as the first over team overall in Season 13. Up next, a solid number 3. Our second over team in Season 13 is none other than the M4 World Champions, the Season 11 MPL Philippines champions. I'm talking about Ekko. Looking at Ekko's record, it actually is quite spotty. Yes, they do win a lot. Yes, they do deserve that spot they ended up in after the regular season, but it's not like it was spotless. It's not like they were dominant. Yes, they won a lot, but there were as well a lot of speed bumps. Afforded by, again, the fact that they played with 2 active lineups up until week 5. They played with Zaida and outplayed Benny and Carl. Zaida outplayed Benny, Carl, and once they figured out the situation, once they have found their tempo, they never let go. Yes, they did lose a fair share of games, even with Carl Tizzy and Benny Cutie, but that just proves a point that come the playoffs, they did skip the whole play-ins route. They will be able to scout out what's going on. They end up with 2 lives to begin with. And this whole speed bump, despite accelerating all throughout situation, might make for an interesting situation come the playoffs. I think they're going to show us something interesting. I'm talking about the likes of a roaming Valier. I'm talking about maybe even Sanford picking up an Esmeralda again, right? Those kind of showed themselves a lot of experimentation in week 7. So hopefully we see a more bold and expressive Ekko in the playoffs, because that's really one of their main strengths. The fact that they can just run people over and win in record time. And again, it's all about the speed for Ekko. Speed and efficiency. And I love watching that. I really like seeing a team that is so sure of who they are and is just willing to do what it takes to learn who they really are and what they're all about, and gets them from point A to point B. I think the main difference between a storyline like Ekko and Blacklist comes down to a matter of objective perspective. It's just the fact that Ekko did struggle in the later half, but they had enough points to secure a non-play-ins route. For Blacklist, the struggle was somewhat frustrating. Not to compare the two apples to apples, but I know a lot of you guys will start to wonder why I am so hard on Blacklist and why I'm a big fan of Ekko. I guess maybe it's just because I'm a big fan of both and I want to see everyone in the league succeed. That's what it's all about for Ekko, our second over team in Season 13. We're down to 2, and I bet you're wondering which is which, who's coming out on top between these two. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. You know what it is. Teams that's left in overs and unders. All right, here we go. We're going to end the speculation and call it Onic PH, our second most over team in Season 13. Who'da thunk that a super team, nay, a super fam like this could make it work their first season in. And this is all the more made apparent by one press con interview with Coach Tony. Coach Tony said, no, this team was not built to win for Season 14, Season 15. This team was built to win now. And they held that top spot for maybe a week or two. And that was honestly impressive. In a pool of champions like AP Bren, like Ekko, like RSG, like Blacklist International, you're able to play like that. And this is a team that was built, again, just now. If you're going to compare their synergy, compare their relationship, compare how they connect, and again, their raw mechanics and macro, it's so amazing to see how a team like Onic PH is able to add all that up and prove to be a super fam in Season 13. And that's That's what I like. I like seeing teams that just come out of nowhere. Again, this is a team and a story that you did not think you needed to see. This is a surprise in the best of ways. Yes, you should have seen it coming, given that there is Kelra and King Kong on the same team. There is a group of ex-Omega coaches in its lineup, but the fact that it all works, right? The fact that you have on record the oldest player active in the league right now in GEM going toe-to-toe with mechanical prodigies who are barely 18, who are at the prime of their physical performance, right? People will say their fingers are locking. Gem shouldn't be in this league, but here he is, right? Here he is. And that's just one story. What about the others? I don't want to pinpoint, but it's amazing. That's why they're second in my overall overs and unders list for season 13. Talking about Onic PH. They are super. And that leaves us with the one. That leaves us with the world champions, with the defending champions. I think they're on an encore for their world tour, I gotta tell you. It's so hard to think of a grand finals picture of an MSC 2024 without AP Bren. I could have sworn in the last couple of weeks they were going to fumble and lose top spot, which again was very much made possible by the way our scoring system worked. But alas, this is AP Bren. These are the best pure athletes ever seen in the history of our league. This is a team that was built from the ground up to succeed and to adapt and to really show what Filipino MLBB is all about, from the bottom to the top, from each single player, and even considering the sub. Pando, I will die on this hill. Pando deserves to play for AP Bren, whether or not he's in the active roster or supporting from the sidelines. Pando is my guy. Up to the franchise level. Again, the fact that these two giants came together, AP and Bren Esports, they weren't bred or made to succeed. They worked hard to succeed. And that's a story any Filipino, nay, any person in the world can resonate with. And I'm marking out hard over AP Bren. Truth be told, you already know what's up with AP Bren. You know from role to role, lane to lane, what AP Bren does well. And I don't have to sing their praises, but I want to wrap up overs and unders with the fact that I believe any of our 8 franchise teams can go to any other league, play in an international tournament, and be a legit threat. Shame that only 2 teams can go out to Riyadh and compete in the mid-season cup, but you can put that on paper, send it out. I think any team in the MPL is a legit threat and can win any international event today. That's it. After everything that happened in season 13, we've come up with this final list. And again, take it with a grain of salt. Thank you, though, for hearing out my opinion. But here's our 8 teams in order. Again, based on how I saw them and how I received their output and their narrative beats all throughout the 7 weeks of the regular season. We're looking at TNC, OMG, RSG, Blacklist International, Minana Evos, Ekko, Onic Philippines, and AP Bren. From bottom to top. It's been an awesome regular season. Thank you all so much. Again, I could not ask for a better community. I could not ask for a better job. This is a dream come true, and I hope to see you guys at the playoffs where another set of dreams will be coming through. 2 teams flying out to Riyadh, 1 team raising that trophy. Who could it be? Honestly, it could be any of the 6 playing out there. So I want to hear your thoughts. Put it in the comments down below and let me know. Am I going to be seeing you at SM South Mall come May 22nd to the 26th? Again, at your service, my name is Leo. This has been Overs and Unders, signing off for the very last time in Season 13. Y'all have a great day. South Mall, baby, you know how it is. Playoffs, all the hard work paid off. Everybody bring the A game, what you made of. Filipino MLBB at the finest. Para sa tagumpay, yeah, that's the mindset. We going south for the first time. Even if you're from the north, it's gonna be fun. Kaya set yun ng alarm clocks nyo. Because 4 p.m. MPL na yo. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'ma see you at the playoffs, baby. I'ma see you at the South Mall.